welcome to the Witch's Cauldron. My name's Paula. Today's subject is part 3 of my series on defensive magic. We're going to be talking about reversals, binding, hexing, and cursing. In the description box, you will find a handout. In that handout, it goes over all the information that we went over in video number 1, part 1. Which is a discussion on to curse or not to curse, the thought process that you should go through before you undertake those particular actions. I'm going to repeat again that if you would not do something in the mundane world in your everyday life, don't take any action in the magical realm that you would not feel comfortable taking in the mundane, okay? So this is a very touchy subject because a lot of Wiccans automatically think of hexing and cursing as black magic. And it is dark magic. I'm not going to lie. I'm not going to tell you that it's not. However, there are circumstances and situations where hexing and cursing, binding are completely justified. I will take any measure that is necessary in my mundane world to protect my home and my family and the ones that I love. It is the same in the magical realm. Does that make me a black witch? No, it does not. But it does mean that I'm there in the gray, okay? I think that the intent and the reasons behind it are what are important, okay? Part 2 went over determining, if you've been cursed, if you've been hexed, what you can do, protective measures, wards, and everything like that. So in the description box, there is also a very simple candle spell to break a curse. There is a ritual for cleansing yourself of a curse or hex. There is also going to be what I call the chill the F out spell. I learned this spell from the queen of the whole effing universe, Dorothy Morrison. She calls herself the QBOTFU. And if you've been into paganism or witchcraft for very long, you probably know who Dorothy Morrison is. I am going to give you a list of some things that help place curses. I'm going to give you a spell, that chill the F out spell, in the description box. But I'm not going to give you specific spells to cast a hex or a curse on someone. And here is why. Curses and hexes involve, or should involve, specific instances. The same thing with binding. It is imperative that you really think hard. And there are different things that you use for different situations. I can't sit here and go through 10,000 scenarios, nor can I write them down. But what I am going to do instead is recommend some really good books that I have in my possession that I use when the need is there. And I will link the products on Amazon if I can find them. The product links will be affiliate links. And I would earn a small commission if you so choose to use them. Please do not feel obligated to use any affiliate link. They're just there, okay? So you've figured out you've been cursed. In part 2, you have ritually cleansed yourself. You have ritually cleansed your house. You've put up wards and you've put up protections. The first thing you can think about, if you are not comfortable, because binding affects somebody's free will, okay? Hexing and cursing, most Wiccans consider to be black magic, and they won't even entertain it. I think you're missing out on things because if you talk to traditionally trained Gardnerian Wiccans, cursing and hexing is not out of their wheelhouse. So we're going to leave that at that. But most Wiccans do not have a problem with what is called a reversal. And that is where you send that ill intent back to the person that cast it your way, okay? And that can usually be handled by a simple mirror spell or a mirror box spell. As part of my protections and wards, I have mirrors up in every window of my house that will reflect ill intent that has been cast my way back on the magical practitioner that cast it. And it will, I put in what is called an escalation clause. I use that threefold rule that it will go back and slap them 3 times as hard as what they cast. There will be a very simple mirror ritual, and it helps if you have a picture of the person, if you know the specific person who sent something your way. It helps to have something that belongs to them. That can be anything from hair from a hairbrush, one of their possessions. It can be nail clippings. It can be something that they've left behind, like, I don't know, a napkin that they've used. Most people use a photo of the target, of who you want to send the stuff back to. To make it specific, that means that you know that this person has cast something your way, all right? I'm going to put the mirror box spell and the handouts in the description box. I am also going to now give you some common items that will help you curse, bind, or hex someone. Okay? Now, these items are black salt, graveyard dirt, and preferably this is dirt from one of your family members. If you do not live close enough to a family cemetery, you can go into a local cemetery and make acquaintance with someone who is buried there. If it comes down to like a protection kind of thing, Soldiers are excellent for that purpose, but your family members will help you out. Okay. I have like 4 vials of different graveyard dirt from different graves. And, 2 of them were either soldiers or sailors, and the others from my parents. And so, graveyard dirt. Another thing is goofer dust. Goofer dust is in hoodoo and conjure, and I believe voodoo. And it is made out of usually a little bit of graveyard dirt, a little bit of sulfur, the skin of a poisonous snake. A spider carcass can be thrown in there for some good measure, and a few other little secret ingredients that most hoodoo practitioners make up with their own blend. Spider carcasses, the shed skin of a poisonous snake, and beware if you're buying these online, because some of them can be fakes, or they're actually the naturally shed skin of a non-poisonous snake. It has to be a poisonous snake. Okay. Sulfur is another thing that comes in handy. Coffin nails or old rusty iron nails help. Black candles, white candles, a black Sharpie pen, dragon's blood ink, parchment paper, black ribbon or cording, black electrical tape, art or modeling clay that you can make into shapes. You can use dollar store 11-inch fashion dolls. Don't spend a ton on like a real Barbie. Just go to the dollar store. You can make a poppet out of felt or muslin. Make it yourself. You can also buy them pre-made. Small mirrors or mirror shards, and a picture of your target. It also, as I mentioned, helps to have something that belongs to the person that you are hexing, cursing, or binding. Okay? If you don't have access to that, a picture of them or even their name written on a piece of paper with dragon's blood ink will do. A Sharpie will do in a pinch. Okay? The dragon's blood is an extra punch. Okay? It's like giving them the extra finger. Okay? So, you need to figure out what is the appropriate retaliatory action for what they have done. Number one, if you have to know who did it. Okay? You have to have a specific target. I have done a few bindings in my time. I can think of 3 right off the bat. No, 4 right off the bat. 2 of them were for me, and 2 of them were for my better half. They were very effective. And the thing about binding is that you are affecting someone else's free will. Bindings can also be positive, okay? They can have a positive outcome. If you are like binding yourself from a bad habit, let's say you don't want to smoke cigarettes anymore. You don't want to do whatever, drink anymore to help you in your struggle with addiction. People also who are sensitives or empaths, who are troubled by those abilities and who cannot seem to control them. I have had people ask me to write binding rituals so that they can bind their powers. I don't normally recommend to do that because usually in the long run it just ends up causing more issue than if you learn how to control your abilities and learn how to shield instead. But that can also be a binding. Okay. Remember that a hex is intended to cause harm, and the person who casts the hex is calling upon supernatural powers to aid them. That means ancestors, elementals, the jinn, angels, demons, whatever. And a hex is short-lived. Boom. It's like one and done. Like, all right, you mess with my job and stuff like that. Okay, I'm going to get you fired. Whatever. Okay. A curse is some really, really serious business because it is long term. Okay. If a witch throws a curse, they truly mean business. Curses can be on land. Curses can be on people. They can span generations. They even outlast the lifespan of the person who set the curse. I repeat, if you are going to curse someone, you better frickin' mean it. Okay? Now, as I said, I'm not going to sit here and tell you how to curse somebody. This needs to come from you. I can give you resources, but I'm not going to show anybody how to hex or curse someone. I can just direct you to where you need to read and learn. But I don't have a problem, giving you a reversal spell. I'll give you a binding spell, which is the chill the F out spell. But when it comes to doing a hex or a curse, that's up to you. Okay? I've given you a lot of information of the steps you need to go through in your mind before you get to either hexing or cursing. Hexing, you are making a pact with your ancestors, with whatever entity you are working with. Okay? A curse is long term, and that person on the receiving end of a curse will suffer. Okay? This is where you want to basically almost drive them to or past the breaking point, depending on how strong the curse is. Okay? I want you to think very, very long and hard before you delve into baneful magic. However, just because I don't hex and curse people, nobody's ticked me off that bad so far in my life. That's not to say that I wouldn't do it if they did. Okay? That doesn't make me any better than anyone else who has cast curses and hexes. It doesn't make me any less than them. It just means that I have not been in the situation where I have felt sufficiently threatened or vexed to the point where I need to take that step. It's not to say that it won't happen. All right, so resources that I want to recommend. One that is really good is Defense Against the Dark by Emily Carlin. Okay? And she goes through various types of entities, from elementals to routine ghosts to demonic possessions, the whole 9 yards. And then in the back, she has some basic like clearing rituals, protection rituals, and things like that. Okay. And again, these books will be linked in the description box below. I will also link reputable sources for items you can use in hexing and cursing on Amazon. Okay. The next one. This lady knows what she is talking about. And it's the Little Book of Curses and Maledictions for Everyday Use. And it's by Dawn Ray Downton. Here is this. Okay. This book had been out of print for a while, and there were copies going for about $200 on eBay and on Amazon about 6 months ago. It is now back in print, and it is under $20. This is one of the best books on hexing and cursing that I can recommend. Okay. Again, link will be in the description box. The next one is by Miss Aida, and it is Cursings and Crossings. This is what it looks like. This is in Southern Conjure and Hoodoo Magic. That's where a lot of that, like Goofer Dust that I mentioned, that's a very common, graveyard dirt, coffin nails. Those are very, very common ingredients in Hoodoo and Southern Conjure. Another one is by Jake Richards, and it's called Backwoods Witchcraft. And this is conjure that is native to my part of the United States, and that's folk magic from Appalachia. Again, graveyard dirt and things of that nature, very prominent in folk magic from Appalachia, where I'm from. Another one that is equally as good is In a Graveyard at Midnight by Edain McCoy. And any of you who have been practicing for very long, you have heard of Edain McCoy. Okay. And again, this is the folk magic, crossing, cursing, and everything is part of the culture. All right. Here is another one that is a little controversial. It is by Christian Day, and it's called The Witch's Book of the Dead. This is like a witch's primer on how to get spirit to do your bidding. He is from Salem. I believe he's still in Salem. He's appeared on a couple of different shows. I think he was on Ghost Adventures on a couple of episodes. But he gets it when it comes to necromancy. Okay. Now, this next one is by the Queen Bee of the whole effing universe, Dorothy Morrison. And it's utterly wicked. And if you enjoy a good laugh and a little bit of humor along with your curses and your hexes, Dorothy is your girl. I love this woman. I have been blessed to have met her on several occasions. I have attended her classes. I was even blessed to receive a tarot reading from this lady. This was the first book I ever bought. I bought it the minute that it was released and available at Llewellyn's. And it was probably the best money I've spent on books in a very, very long time. I'm not sure. I think it is still in print, and if it is, I will link it in the description box because it is worth it. Another one is Shadow Magic Compendium by Raven Digitalis. This goes into the darker practices. It's a very good book. If for nothing else, it enlightens you to the darker side so that you can better prepare and defend yourself. And then the other one is Advanced Witchcraft by Edain McCoy. And this will kind of amp up your practice and give you better protections, etc. So, again, the basic binding spell that I do is called the Chill the F Out spell. I had to use this on my ex-husband when we were going through our divorce. He was stalking me. He was threatening me. He was threatening to break my legs, break my arms. He was parking out across the street, watching me come and go out of the house to see if anybody was coming into my house. I mean, it was bad. It was really bad. So I made a poppet and put his name on it and got me a Ziploc bag. I got some valerian root. I got some sugar. I got some electrical tape. I got a black Sharpie. And I had a big old thing of water. Pyrex measuring cup of water. And some salt. Black salt, as a matter of fact. So what you do is with the poppet, and if you use a, doll that you bought from the dollar store, you take that Sculpey clay that I said to get, and if Barbie's, the doll's too voluptuous, you want to make it kind of look like whoever it is that you're going to bind. Okay? That means if you have to color the hair on the blonde with markers or Sharpies, then that's what you do it. Okay? I put around the poppet, I put electrical tape around his mouth, and I said to bind him from ever speaking my name again or talking about me in an ill will or sending any ill will my way by his voice. I took the hands of the poppet and I electrical taped them together and said something like I was binding him from taking any action with his hands to hurt me, inflict pain, or do anything against me that was harmful. Then I took the legs of the poppet and I electrical taped them together and said to keep him from crossing my path, that his legs could no longer carry him to wherever I am and to never cross my path again, And then what you do is take that Ziploc bag, put the poppet in it, put in some valerian, and tell, that the valerian is to make him chill out because valerian is one of the base ingredients for Valium. If you happen to have Valium, Xanax, or, anything like that kind of makes people kind of gorked out and chill, crush one of them suckers up and put in there too. Okay. Then you add in a big old hunk of sugar to sweeten their disposition. The black salt is to keep them from hexing you, cursing you, or coming across your path ever again. And then you add the water to the bag. And then you get all the extra air out of it and seal that bag up. You put it in the freezer and you tell them to chill the F out and to leave you alone, to stop them in their tracks whenever they have the thought of doing anything that involves harm to you. You freeze them in their path. Okay? That's one of the basic binding spells. You can also bind someone by having their picture and using black ribbon, and you come up with an incantation. I usually mount the picture. I just use, print something off from the, printer here at the house. And I mount it on a little piece of stiffer, like cardstock or cardboard. Something makes it a lot easier to wrap my ribbon around them. And I get a big old roll of black ribbon. And then I have a black candle to seal things up. But I come up with an incantation. I bind you, whomever, from doing X, Y, and Z. And you just say that and repeat it over and over as you wind that black ribbon around your target and cover their picture up. You do it one way this way, and then this way the other way. You want to wind in a counterclockwise manner, okay? So after you've done that, you use the black wax to seal the ends of the ribbon, and then go the other way around with your incantation again. Then you can, and I did this, ask your ancestors or someone who has passed on. You can invoke whomever to do this, but to keep them from crossing your path and from doing whatever it was that they were doing to you. I had occasion to do this to one person who was stalking me online and consequently started stalking all of my witch friends on my Facebook page. They found out my name and started stalking me and was creating like 25 accounts. And actually started stalking everybody in my coven. So I did a binding. I included some graveyard dirt from one of my ancestors who was a Civil War soldier. And I also happen to have the daguerreotype of him in my possession. And he is still sitting on top of that little packet, guarding her from ever contacting me again, and to keep her from stalking all my friends. And she's not been heard of for many, many years. I don't think I will ever really get rid of that one, because if I do, I'm afraid she'll come back. So yeah, I'm at a little bit over a half hour now. As I said, think very long and hard. There will be cleansing information. There will be protection information in the description box. The chill the F out spell will be there. A mirror spell will be there for a reversal. But to actually hex and curse somebody, I am going to be collaborating with a gentleman that goes by the moniker of Nightshade. And he is a black witch, and he is a heathen. He practices heathenry. And he is an excellent source on baneful magic. And I really appreciate him, because not all what would be considered baneful magic is how can I say it? Some of it can have a good benefit, and some of the entities that most of us would automatically say, oh my God, that's, you know, evil, or whatever tag you want to put on it. It's just like deities. Demons have what I call demons, most people call demons, you know, from our Christian familiarity, are just like the divine. They have a light aspect and a dark aspect. So I am going to collab with him and hopefully ask some of your questions, hopefully we're going to answer some of your questions, and you know, ask him his thought process before he takes, you know, an action like hexing or cursing somebody. So with that, my friends, this one's been a little bit more somber than what we're used to. I apologize, you know, but I've thought long and hard. I'm not going to sit here and give you a bunch of hexes and curses. I don't have a problem doing a binding ritual. I don't have a problem doing a reversal spell for you. I'm giving you all kinds of protections and wards already, cleansing rituals, the whole 9 yards. But if you want to actually perform a hex or set a hex or a curse, then that's up to you to do the research on what you need to do for your specific situation. But there is in the handouts a link to supplies, a list of supplies that are very common in cursing and hexing, as well as links to all of these books that I have mentioned. Okay, so with that, my friends, merry we did meet, merry we will part, until we merry meet again. Be well and walk in love and light, everybody. Bye.